Imagine you're an ant living on the surface of a giant, perfectly smooth beach ball. To you, the world looks flat. You can walk in any direction and never find an edge. But if you take a very long journey, you might notice something strange. If you keep walking in what you think is a straight line, you will eventually end up right back where you started. This simple observation would tell you something profound about the shape of your world. It is finite, but it has no boundary. It is a sphere. Now, what if you could take a loop of string, lay it on the surface of the ball, and shrink it down to a single point? You could. This is a key property of a sphere. This very idea, but in a higher dimension, is the heart of a puzzle that baffled mathematicians for a century. It is called the Poincaré conjecture, posed in 1904 by the brilliant French mathematician Henri Poincaré. It asked a fundamental question about the nature of three-dimensional space. The conjecture proposed that if any closed three-dimensional shape has the property that every loop within it can be shrunk down to a single point, then that shape must be, topologically speaking, a three-dimensional sphere. It's like our beach ball example, but for the kind of space we might actually live in. Solving this was not just an abstract challenge, it was about understanding the fundamental shapes that our universe could possibly take. Why does this matter so much? Think of it like a map for all possible three-dimensional worlds. If the conjecture were true, it would give mathematicians a powerful tool to classify and understand the dizzying variety of three-dimensional shapes or three manifolds that can exist. For 100 years, the brightest minds in mathematics tried and failed to prove it. They could prove it for 2 dimensions, and even for 4, 5 and higher dimensions. But the three-dimensional case, the one that felt closest to our own reality, remained stubbornly out of reach. It became one of the 7 Millennium Prize problems, with a $1 million reward offered by the Clay Mathematics Institute for its solution. The challenge lay in the immense complexity of three-dimensional space. Unlike a simple 2-dimensional surface, three-dimensional shapes can twist, knot, and intersect in ways that are difficult to visualize and even harder to prove mathematically. The conjecture was like a locked door at the very center of topology, the branch of mathematics that studies shapes and their properties. Whoever could find the key would not just win a prize, they would unlock a new era in our understanding of geometry and the very fabric of space itself. For decades, the door remained shut, waiting for someone with a completely new way of seeing things. That person turned out to be a quiet, unassuming genius from St. Petersburg. The key to unlocking the century-old puzzle came from a reclusive Russian mathematician named Grigori Perelman. He was not a showman. He did not seek the spotlight or the approval of prestigious journals. Instead, in 2002 and 2003, he quietly uploaded a series of 3 papers to Archive, a public online server where scientists share their research before formal publication. There was no grand announcement, no press conference. It was the mathematical equivalent of leaving a masterpiece on a park bench for anyone to find. The papers were dense, brilliant, and offered a breathtakingly original path to solving not just the Poincaré conjecture, but an even more general problem called Thurston's geometrization conjecture. Perelman's strategy was built upon an idea from the 1980s by another mathematician, Richard Hamilton. Hamilton had proposed using a process called Ricci flow. You can think of it like heat spreading across a bumpy, uneven metal surface. As the heat diffuses, it smooths out the hot spots and warms up the cold spots, eventually making the temperature uniform everywhere. In a similar way, Ricci flow is a mathematical equation that smooths out the geometry of a shape. The hope was that if you let it run on any 3-dimensional manifold, it would eventually morph into a simple, beautiful shape, like a sphere. It was a brilliant concept, but it had a critical flaw. The problem was that the Ricci flow process could sometimes go wrong. As the shape was being smoothed out, certain regions could stretch into long, thin necks, or collapse into infinitely dense points called singularities. Imagine trying to iron a wrinkled shirt, but instead of getting smoother, a part of it suddenly pinches into a hard, sharp crease that you can't get out. These singularities were the mathematical equivalent of that. They caused the Ricci flow to break down, halting the process and leaving the proof incomplete. For years, no one knew how to get past these roadblocks. It seemed like a beautiful idea that just didn't quite work. This is where Perelman's genius came in. He invented a set of powerful new tools to control the chaos. He developed what he called a surgery technique. When a singularity started to form, his method allowed him to precisely snip out the problematic neck or point, cap the resulting holes, and then restart the Ricci flow process on the newly repaired shape. It was like a cosmic surgeon carefully removing imperfections to allow the shape to continue its journey toward a simpler form. He proved that this surgery could only be done a finite number of times, guaranteeing that the process would eventually end, leaving behind a collection of simple, understandable geometric pieces. He had tamed the Ricci flow. After Grigori Perelman posted his papers online, the mathematical world was thrown into a state of both excitement and confusion. The documents were concise, almost cryptic, skipping over many of the smaller steps that would normally be included in a formal proof. It was clear that something monumental had happened, but the task of verifying every detail was a colossal undertaking. Several teams of top mathematicians around the world dedicated the next few years to a meticulous line-by-line examination of his work. They filled in the gaps, expanded on his logic, and stress-tested every part of his argument. It was an unprecedented global effort to peer review a proof that had been offered to the community as a whole. By 2006, the consensus was in. The proof was correct. Perelman had done it. He had solved one of the greatest problems in the history of mathematics. The community was ready to shower him with its highest honors. That year, he was awarded the Fields Medal, often described as the Nobel Prize of Mathematics. But when the invitation came, Perelman did something that stunned the academic world. He refused it. He had no interest in the ceremony, the fame, or the public validation. He felt that his work should speak for itself and that the prize culture was unfair. "I'm not interested in money or fame," he later stated. "I don't want to be on display like an animal in a zoo." His most famous act of refusal, however, came 4 years later. In 2010, the Clay Mathematics Institute officially confirmed that he had met all the requirements for the $1 million Millennium Prize. The world watched, wondering if he would finally accept the reward for his historic achievement. Once again, he said no. He politely declined the money, explaining that he felt his contribution was not greater than that of Richard Hamilton, whose Ricci flow program had laid the foundation for his own work. He believed the decision to award the prize solely to him was unjust, and so he could not accept it. The $1 million remained unclaimed. Perelman's refusals were more than just a personal choice. They were a profound statement. In a world that often measures success by wealth, awards, and public recognition, he chose a different path. He was driven by a pure, unadulterated passion for mathematics and the pursuit of truth. For him, the beauty was in solving the puzzle, not in the accolades that followed. His actions forced the scientific community and the public to reflect on what truly matters. The integrity of the work, the collaborative nature of discovery, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing you have solved a problem that has stood for a century. He showed that the real prize was the solution itself. Following his monumental achievement and subsequent refusals of the world's most prestigious awards, Grigori Perelman made another startling choice. He disappeared from the world of mathematics altogether. In 2006, he resigned from his position at the renowned Steklov Institute of Mathematics in St. Petersburg, severing his last formal tie to the academic community he had so profoundly impacted. He retreated into a quiet, reclusive life with his mother in a modest apartment block, purposefully cutting off contact with his former colleagues and the media who desperately sought to understand the man behind the proof. His silence was as powerful and confounding as his mathematics. The few glimpses the world has had of Perelman since have only deepened the mystery surrounding him. Journalists who have managed to track him down have been met with polite but firm refusals to engage. In one famous encounter, he was found picking mushrooms in a forest near St. Petersburg and reportedly told the reporter, "You are disturbing me, I am picking mushrooms." It was a simple, direct statement that spoke volumes about his priorities. He had turned away from the complexities of higher dimensional geometry to embrace the simple, tangible realities of everyday life, far from the pressures and expectations of the public eye. His withdrawal raises important questions about the nature of genius and the pressures of fame. Perelman's story highlights a deep-seated discomfort with the way science and academia handle credit and recognition. He seemed to feel that the system of prizes and public honors was fundamentally flawed, creating a competitive and often unfair environment that distracted from the pure pursuit of knowledge. By walking away, he was not just rejecting personal fame, he was implicitly critiquing a culture that he felt had lost its way, a culture that valued prizes more than the foundational, collaborative work that makes breakthroughs possible. In an era of relentless self-promotion and public visibility, Perelman's choice to become invisible is a radical act. He achieved one of the greatest intellectual feats of our time, and then simply walked away, asking for nothing in return. His story serves as a powerful counter-narrative to our modern definition of success. It suggests that fulfillment does not have to come from external validation, from money, or from fame. For some, the greatest reward is the quiet, internal satisfaction of having solved a difficult problem and contributed something beautiful and true to the world without needing anyone else to applaud. Though Grigori Perelman has withdrawn from the world of mathematics, his work continues to echo and resonate in remarkable ways. The solution to the Poincaré conjecture was not an ending, it was a beginning. The powerful techniques he developed to tame Ricci flow have become fundamental tools for a new generation of mathematicians. They are being used to explore the geometry of higher dimensional spaces and to tackle other complex problems in topology and analysis. His papers, once seen as cryptic and difficult, are now foundational texts that have opened up entire new avenues of research, ensuring his influence will be felt for decades to come. Beyond the esoteric world of pure mathematics, Perelman's ideas have found surprising and practical applications. The principles behind Ricci flow, which smooth out irregularities in shapes, have inspired algorithms used in computer graphics and three-dimensional modeling. These methods help in creating smoother, more realistic digital surfaces, denoising geometric data, and improving the way we render complex objects in movies and video games. His work has also found a home in physics, where the study of curved spaces is essential to understanding gravity and the shape of space-time, as described by Einstein's theory of general relativity. But perhaps the most profound legacy of Grigori Perelman is the one he left for all of us, especially young people passionate about science and learning. His story is a powerful lesson in the value of curiosity and perseverance. He dedicated years of his life working in isolation to a problem that many thought was unsolvable. He was not driven by the promise of a prize or the lure of fame, but by an intense personal quest for understanding. He reminds us that the greatest discoveries are often born from a deep intrinsic love for the subject itself, a passion that transcends any external reward. Ultimately, Perelman teaches us to define success on our own terms. He showed the world that it is possible to achieve something extraordinary and then choose a path of integrity and quiet dignity over the noisy clamor for recognition. His life is an inspiration to follow one's own principles, to value substance over spectacle, and to remember that the true joy of discovery lies not in the prize at the end, but in the beautiful, challenging, and deeply personal journey of the pursuit itself. He solved the shape of space, and in doing so, he showed us the shape of a life lived with uncompromising integrity.